Oh hey, welcome to my 30-day sketchbook challenge. We're gonna see if I can improve my sketchbook and YouTube skills in 30 days. I've got my trusty Collie Erase pencil, my kneaded eraser, sharpener, and some brush skis, so let's go. I'm so excited and happy for this painting. It turned out better than I expected. This very bright pink lady is Vair Weston, or Vair as we call her. She hails from the planet Sada. It is a desert canyon planet, which is the second from the sun Pheno, the Pheno system. A detailed look at our story's solar system will definitely come down the road. I'm pretty sure I'll be painting them as well as an experiment. Anyway, on Sada there are 5 major municipalities, and Vair's family is from Perino Springs, which is a lively tourist trap town with funky artisanal markets, hot springs, and food for days. Vair is one of the middle children of a large family of 5, not including the parents. Again, I don't have names for the fam yet. We're in the early stages of world building here. She has a younger sister, the other middle child, a younger brother, and 2 older brothers. Vair gets along about as much as expected with her siblings. Like, deep down there's love for the fam, but most of the time they're at each other's throats and complaining to mom while driving mom crazy. The kids are not much more than 2 to 4 years apart, and as such, the Weston house was chaotic growing up. Part of Vair's escape from the chaos was, unfortunately, to get involved with a gang that exploited young girls as honeypots to do some of their dirty work. Ugh. Gang name TBD, of course. As time wore on and Vair and her group of badass biatches cottoned on to what was happening, they decided to secretly try and form their own organization. Soon into this endeavor is when Vair's mom stepped in to send Vair off to the fleet to keep her somewhat in check. Vair loves her guns and making things go boom, so she was like, why not? She really does miss her main crew, though, and keeps in contact and also uses them and their connections to the Starling crew's advantage at times. The Starling is actually the ship where all of our crew takes place in the story. She's silly and lighthearted and loves a good time, a pleasure sim, if you will. She looks up to Jeddah as an older sister type figure, but would never admit it. Her and Jaro love to goof off and be silly in the mess, and she has a giant silly girl crush on Mr. Redacted, who tolerates her at best of times. She distresses the Doc by mostly ignoring his medical advice and loves to poke fun with him. My inspiration for Vair is basically Tank Girl for some reason, and Margot Robbie's Harlequin, a lovable, if insanely violent, goofball. 2 quick disclosures: if you found me through this challenge, I also do digital art, as well as I'm building a print shop business, so you will also see that kind of content on this channel. I will also be returning to uploading once a week every Friday once this daily challenge is over, just so you know. Let's talk about the art for a bit. As I mentioned, I'm super excited for how this turned out. I find that taking your time and not rushing through each stage, especially letting it dry in between each stage, will yield the best results. I paid attention to my lines here, the areas of detail like the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, where when you paint up more layers they tend to get lost and then you end up skewing the proportions. I paid more attention here and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. My trick for that is to just draw really dark lines in this area. I don't know if this is the best, but it's what worked for me here. Quick paint sidebar: for Vair's skin, I'm using Daniel Smith Quinacridone Coral and Quinacridone Gold. There may be a bit of either quinacridone rose or permanent rose in there as well. I think the coral might be what's making her so orange, so I may try and use more of the rose instead, or mix more of that in. Or, I don't know, I might go back to the drawing board with her skin tone, not sure. I mean, I do like it here, but I'd like to try something a little more realistic tan, so we'll see. I didn't map out my shadows as much here, but I kind of was I'm always going from reference, and I feel like this time it worked out in my favor. One new discovery during this painting was a cheat code to brighten ombre effects. One thing I found when trying to paint Vair's ombre hair for like the 6 other times that I tried painting her is that if you try and paint a light layer of the natural hair color and then try to paint the ombre color on top, it gets kind of muddy and dull. It looks okay, but it wasn't fabulous, so I decided to try using the FineTec metallic colored paints on it, and it immediately brightened it up and made it look super pink, and I love it. The FineTecs actually have this effect on skin tones as well. If you find that you've gone too many layers and it's blotchy or weird, or you're just in a sketchbook using paper that doesn't quite work, the FineTec can actually smooth things out and give you like a rich, creamy effect on a skin tone. You just have to find the right color for it. I've noticed my portraits are getting larger and larger in my sketchbook, which is a bit intimidating. I normally like to mash a bunch of small things together on a page. Maybe I'll do a figure but with a bunch of portraits and then some objects or whatever. I guess this sketchbook is just going to be a bit different apparently. How do you arrange your sketchbook? Are you meticulous? Does it look like something that could hang in a gallery, or do you just run with it and mash stuff together? I'm curious. I'm getting used to skin tones. I'm finding it tricky still. Keeping it light, not over layering or going too heavy. In this case, not going too orange was a thing. There's a desert babe, so she's meant to be tanned. I do think she's a little bit orange, so I'll probably need to study some skin tones a bit more. Like, I'm going from reference, but this was like not the greatest reference photo, and I wasn't going hard with realism here. I am finding that my graphic digital art style is sort of coming through here. It's kind of flat, and I like that, but I would also like to work more on depth, as well as lost edges going forward. More softness in areas. I do love how bright and funky this looks though, as it's very on brand for Vair. There is one more thing I want to work on to add it to the pile, and that is contrast. I've been mentioning these tutorials I've been following religiously. I'll link the channel in the description. Anyway, they mention contrast in one of their tutorials, and it's a very difficult one for me to grasp. I want to blend the crap out of everything and make it like a smooth gradation and barely there shadows, especially on the skin. Kind of like how in fashion photography they tend to do this, especially on women. Like, for some reason we're really afraid to show dark shadows on women's faces. So in this tutorial, he says to paraphrase, that it may seem scary and wrong at first to go in hard with dark colors, but to basically trust the process because you want the high contrast. It's funny because I know this. As a designer and artist that's been working professionally for a while, contrast is quite literally it. But it's tricky to remember when painting and to trust that it's not going to look garbage in the end result. Like, I just feel like it's going to look really weird if I go in really heavy. But this is something I want to work on. Like I said, I'm going to add it to the pile of many things I want to work on. Got to do things one at a time, though. Trying to work on every little thing at once just means you get confused and you just wind up with a mess, I think. So we'll just dip into a quick time lapse, then look at the final result and be off. So anyway, if you are liking watching me bumble through watercolor, make sure to hit the like button. If you want to follow along and tune in, maybe consider subscribing. And if you want to draw along, please do, and let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any art supply tips or anything like that, I'd love to hear it. And thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one tomorrow. Bye! Another paint sidebar for her hair. There are quite a bit of colors in here. Everything but the kitchen sink, as I tend to do. We're using Daniel Smith Green Gold and Quinacridone Gold and Turner Turquoise Blue and Holbein Lavender, which is an amazing color. It helps tone down the brassy yellowness, just like those washes that people use on their dyed blonde hair. It's the same effect. Such a cool color. So if you're still here, cool. This is becoming like a Marvel movie where they slide in the scene from the next movie at the end of the credits. I completely forgot to talk about what paints I used for Vair's hair, so that was why I just snuck that in there. As well as here's a shot of what it looks like after I used the FineTec paint on it. It's hard to find this exact palette that I have. It's an old one. I bought it years ago, and it seems that they've changed their packaging and even the colors that they offer from since when I bought this. I searched the SKU number on the packaging that I have. It seems to be called Coliro, I think, Coliro, made by FineTec Germany, and the SKU number is M1200, and it's 12 pearl colors. The color I used for Vair's ombre hair part, the pink part, is called Fine Lilac. I'll circle and put it on screen. I love these. They work really well on as a layer on top of any color that you have. I like having the gold, silver, bronze pack, but I also love this rainbow one because basically any color you're using, you can like throw one of these on top and give it a really nice pearlescent sheen. I'm kind of a magpie. I like the sparkle, so I'm going to be using these a lot. Sorry in advance. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!